This is awesome. All right, next up, we've got Awatif, Yahya, and we're gonna keep it simple. She is a world traveler. Give it up for Awatif, everybody.
Hi, so I'm Awatif. In 2010, in one of those quiet contemplating nights, I found myself with a glass of wine asking myself a very important question. If I died tomorrow, what would be my legacy? Now, I don't remember the answer to that question, but whatever it was, I remember not liking it. And don't get me wrong, at that time, I was at the prime of my career. I worked for an amazing company. I loved my job. I loved the money from that job even more. And I had a good life, but something was missing. So I started my bucket list. And in it, I put all the kind of things that I wanted to do someday, but I parked because my work took priority. My bucket list had crazy things in it, but one of those things was long-term traveling, longer than a weekend. So come mid-2010, I decided to take action. I quit my job, and I went traveling to China, Vietnam, and Japan for 2 months. But this was not like any other touristy travel. I actually took my bucket list with me. This journey, this bold move of quitting my job and going on this journey really changed my outlook in life forever, and this is what I want to share with you today. So, starting with China, I went to work in a panda conservation and research center. Yes, you don't get to this close encounter with the animal by just going to the zoo. So the research center actually helps make sure that the population of pandas is healthy. It was hard work because I had to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, break bamboo, clean panda cages like this. But at the end, it was really worth it because I spent time with these amazing animals. Now, like I said before, these animals, by the way, they don't sound like bears. People might think they sound like bears. They actually sound like horses. And the research center makes sure that they breed. These animals do not like to have sex. That's another talk for another day. But, so the center tries to encourage them to either naturally breed or through artificial insemination. And then they make sure that the babies are fed, they weigh them, and make sure that they develop into healthy adult pandas. Anyway, that's all the work I did there in China. And then I felt bad for doing all this charity work for animals, but not for human beings. So when I went to Vietnam, I decided to work in an orphanage. This orphanage it's a pagoda, which is a Buddhist word for a temple. The pagoda had about 400 kids. Half of them would go to school. We didn't see them, but the other half were children who had been affected by Agent Orange during the American-Vietnam War. So some of them were physically disabled, some of them were mentally disabled, some of them were both. Obviously, this was a much harder and much more emotional work because nobody wants to see kids in these kind of conditions. But surprisingly, after working with them for some time, you begin to see beyond their disabilities. And you see them as normal children. They laugh, they're mischief, they're naughty. And you just, forget the disabilities that you're seeing. So this orphanage actually accepted kids were just dropped at the door of the orphanage. So many children, you do know exactly their date of birth. This is Ben, this is the kid that I worked with most and I was attached to. They would give you a sheet like this that says, okay, Ben was dropped at 2007 sometime, what he likes, what he doesn't like, what he can understand, and what you can help him with. So this kind of stuff helps you work with the kids a little bit better. Anyway. Japan was the last leg of that trip, and this was a retreat for me. So I went to indulge and relax after all that hard work in China and in Vietnam. But like any other, like the previous 2 trips, I wanted to understand the culture. So I stayed in a traditional Japanese hotel called ryokan, which is what you see in these pictures here. And in each room, you have your mama-san, this lady, who looks after your needs in the room, but your mama-san does not speak English. So each room comes equipped with troublesome cards like this that you can point at. For example, a burglar has broken into my room and has taken me hostage. If you're taken hostage, how can you point? The other thing is some gangster, and this is, by the way, in hot springs in Mount Fuji, a gangster is trying to pick a fight with me. Anyway, these guys I had to share, they're hilarious. They're the highlight of my trip in Japan. Anyway, this trip really changed me, and what it taught me is the value of my time. And I put my time before money nowadays. And what I'd like to leave you with is to go and ask yourself all those kind of things you wanted to do and question what's stopping you from doing it right now. And with that,